All right, we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Worst of the Best podcast. I'm your host, and with me today is my brother Jason. For those two guys who have been waiting for us, I can't believe it. There's two guys who've been waiting for us, Louise and David. Thank you so much. You guys are very kind, very patient. Like we did on our last recording. At the time of this recording, the one that we did previous. What was it again? What was the topic again? It was oh, I don't remember what the
I know
topic was.
it's funny. I was trying to talk to somebody actually this week. I'm like, so have you done a recording with your brother recently? And I said, yeah. And then I was trying to think of exactly what it was that we did.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We just do so many, Ryan, that it's just one big blur, right?
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, and you're still in the middle of the move, so yeah, I mean, if Jason's microphone sounds like it's the webcam microphone, that's because it is. We had to sacrifice the mic level so Jason could hear me talk. We thought that was probably valid. He couldn't hear. Basically, he wasn't able to hear me, but then his mic sounded good. But then now his mic doesn't sound as good. He just wants to apologize to all the listeners for their yeah. Anyways, everything's fine. But I'm excited today, Jason, because we have a fun topic: Saturday morning cartoons. That is, and specifically the '80s, because that's when we were kids. We're going to talk about the top, what we curated from the interweb and from polling hundreds of people and hundreds of our friends and family, asking them what was your favorite cartoons. We took those top 10, and we're going to read that list, speak briefly about each cartoon, and then at the end of the episode, independent of each other, without one or the other knowing what the other person is going to say, we're going to pick what we think is our worst Saturday morning cartoon. So of the 10, which one of the ones could be sacrificed if we had to? Now, remember, the worst doesn't mean it's a bad cartoon. It can just mean, for whatever reason, out of the top 10 cartoons. So keep in mind, too, these top 10 cartoons aren't just necessarily ones that Jason and I personally watched a lot of. We were either wholly aware of it, meaning we knew the cartoon exists. We knew it was on the airwaves in the 80s, but it might not have been a cartoon we watched necessarily, but we have to speak to the masses of everyone that watched Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s. Okay. People in the chat are saying, Jay, they hear you just fine. So there you go. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I apologize. I'm still kind of in between a move here, and I don't have my proper computer set up, so I'm kind of glitchy a bit. But anyway, I appreciate knowing that people can hear me.
I'm not sure what Flipper's saying in our chat here. Excuse. Do you know anything about Twitter, Jason? Is it changing its name right now?
Yeah, they're going between. There's rumors. I'm not sure if it's official, but they're going to X.
So Flipper says in our chat here, how ironic that Twitter is now. I'll bring it up here on our chat. How ironic that Twitter is now X, because the X has always been known as the butthole for literally every cartoon character. The butthole, like literally that their bum. I'm confused. I'm kind of confused, but that's okay. Can someone explain, Flipper, if you're still listening? Can you explain what you mean by that? Because I'm not too sure what you even mean by that. I didn't even know what Twitter changed its name.
Is he saying like when they draw a person, if they draw a character's bum, like the little?
Yeah, but I don't remember very many X's on bums in cartoons.
It depends on what cartoon. Maybe he's watching very different cartoons than the ones we watched.
Yeah, Fritz the Cat or whatever that one was. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we would like to welcome everyone who's watching us on YouTube, Facebook, on our StreamYard, and, of course, listening to us with the edited version, the cleanup version on the actual audio podcast that's released a little while after we go live. So if you're watching this live, just keep in mind all the hiccups and sneezes and ums and ahs will be edited out for the audio release. Okay, well, let's get started. Here is my intro to this subject. So, Jason, in the 1980s and the early 90s, Saturday morning cartoons were a cherished tradition in countless households, ours included, nationwide, worldwide maybe. Kids like ourselves at the time fondly recall waking up to the TV show. Kids fondly recall waking up to the TV's glow, eagerly tuning in to be enchanted by their beloved animated characters for hours. Now, I would say those hours were usually between, remember, like 7 and 11. Those were like the prime hours. Everything, cartoons after 11, like between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. were kind of like, they weren't the greatest cartoons because kids, even like ourselves, were getting bored. Like, the quality cartoons kind of ended around 11. And because you went out and played, right? You're not going to watch cartoons all day. And we didn't. We did it the Saturday morning, and we out and played for the afternoon in the neighborhood. So among the myriad of shows, several have transcended time, leaving an indelible mark on our memories. So, Jason, again, here are the top 10 iconic cartoons that every 80s kid holds dear from their cherished childhood. Now, again, this isn't ones we always watched. We were either aware of and or they were popular at the time when we were kids, but other people, our listening audience included, will remember these shows. Jason, why don't you start with the classic first one right away? Let's get this one out of the way.
Sure. Yeah. We all remember the Bugs Bunny show. Bugs Bunny show, a timeless classic that began in 1960 and ran for 40 years, left an indelible mark on every 80s kid who sang along with this iconic theme. Throughout its various iterations, the show never failed to enchant children and beloved Looney Tunes characters like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Wile E. Coyote, and the Roadrunner. While some of the cartoons may have outdated racial stereotypes, the show's impact on the 80s kids remains undeniable. As American as apple pie, the Bugs Bunny show's over-the-top gags and sophomore humor has been fondly remembered, creating a lasting legacy that continues to charm audiences to this day.
I loved Bugs Bunny. I mean, we watched it for sure in our home as kids, and
yeah,
like Daffy Duck was awesome. I mean, all these characters, Elmer Fudd, Daffy Duck, remember the big rooster? Now boy. I mean, they're just so, and they had so many episodes. Now, granted that like the show, it's a bit of a cheat. Like it started in the 60s, but we watched this cartoon in the 80s. I mean, this is a show that our animated.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically our whole lives, really.
Yeah. And I loved everything, man. I like Wile E. Coyote. I always felt bad for him. Like I didn't necessarily want him to eat the Roadrunner. And it's funny, I sympathized with Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
Did you not sympathize with him a little bit?
Yeah.
He just wanted to eat. Now, why he wanted to eat just the Roadrunner, I don't know why there wasn't any other food available for him. But what I always loved is he always was able to order all these like Acme products from explosives and anvils, and I don't know why he just didn't order himself a pizza.
Well, maybe he did. We're only watching the
right.
But like the other thing though, Ryan, is the way that he ordered it. I'm all of a sudden now thinking of like Amazon. Like he just like orders this thing and it shows up and he puts it together. And that's kind of like how long did he wait?
Yeah, they came there pretty quickly. And of course, the Roadrunner always got away. The classic, paints the roadway onto the rock face, and the Wile E. Coyote runs into the rock face, or something. Either runs into the rocks or runs off the cliff,
falls, and
the cliff fall, and he's able to stand on the air for a second. I love how gravity takes over when he realizes he's in the air. I love that. Those are the great gags. Bugs Bunny, cross-dressing, and I love it when he did that, when he became a woman and seduced Elmer Fudd or whatever. And then Daffy Duck, my favorite Daffy Duck one, though, this is a classic one. I believe you can probably YouTube this, was when he calmed the Tasmanian Devil. Do you recall that one? It's probably the best Looney Tunes cartoon ever made. What it was with the whole part, so the Tasmanian Devil got loose from the zoo or whatever. There was a reward to get the Tasmanian Devil back, to bring it back. And so this is a dangerous creature that was hard to tame. And I forget how, but Daffy Duck realized that music calmed the Tasmanian Devil right down, totally seduced him, that he would follow the music wherever. So Daffy played the radio, but the cord, was only so long, so it got pulled out of the wall or whatever. And then the batteries in the radio died or whatever. So then Daffy just ends up singing the song, but it totally seduced the Tasmanian Devil's behind Daffy, snapping his fingers, and like as it's following Daffy back to the zoo to be in the cage again. And like by the end of this travel, like Daffy's so winded, he's like singing like this, like he's still singing the Tasmanian Devil, regardless of the terrible singing, still like snapping his fingers. So the whole thing is, throughout this journey, Daffy has been beaten up by the Tasmanian Devil at some point. He's been overpowered by it. It was only music that tamed him. And they get it into the cage. Daffy then walks out with his money from the zookeepers or whatever. He walks out counting his money, the reward. But one of the dollar bills falls out of his hand and lands on the ground, and the Tasmanian Devil grabs it from the cage, grabs the money. Daffy opens up the cage, goes in there, beats the snot out of the Tasmanian Devil to get his dollar back. It's just such a great little moment because it indicates that Daffy, had he decided, he could at the very beginning just beaten the crap out of it, but when it came to money and greed, he was able to overpower the Tasmanian Devil for that last dollar. I don't know. It's just a classic.
You know how they would have made that today?
I don't even want to know.
Daffy Duck would have felt very sad and sorry for the Tasmanian devil and would not have allowed him to go back into the jail cell and would not have taken the money, and it would have been a very happy ending.
No, let's be honest. These Looney Tunes commercials, and bless their hearts, they were not. We love it. That's why I love them. They just were what they were. They were so great. Yeah. All right, the next one. Now, this is one I know you and I didn't watch all that much because even when it started in 1983, I was 8, you were 10. So we didn't watch this cartoon necessarily because it was kind of geared towards a younger audience, but we were completely aware and knew of this phenomenon of this cartoon, and that is Alvin and the Chipmunks. So this was a Saturday morning Alvin the Chipmunks, a Saturday morning cartoon about singing chipmunks, became an unexpected 80s sensation. It really was a big deal. Every kid from that era fondly remembers grooving to the catchy tunes of Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. In fact, I can hear the theme song in my head right now. Alvin, Simon, Theodore. Did
we have a record? One of the records, right? We had one of the records.
We must have. Yeah, because our younger brother might have been a fan of it. Yeah.
But I think they also had that fake record player with the. Anyway, I remember.
Do we have like a toy?
Yeah.
Okay, probably
like plastic records.
Yeah, I remember those things. Yeah. So apparently there was a cartoon called The Alvin Show in 1961, and that series introduced the Chipettes, a female trio of chipmunks. So together with their caretaker manager Dave Seville, the mischievous gang always found themselves in amusing predicaments, leading to Dave's famous exclamation in every cartoon, "Alvin!"
Yes. Oh.
You always get a little mischief, that Alvin. However, the show's immense popularity led to albums, toys, concerts, video games, and multiple theatrical movies. Even after 65 years, Alvin and the Chipmunks remains a cherished favorite among those who grew up with these adorable characters.
65 years?
Yeah, it was created in 61.
Wow.
But it was a Saturday morning cartoon from 83 to 1990. Yeah, so I think I've seen one of the movies when my older kids were younger. So there's that live action one, I think with Jason Lee playing Dave Seville or Seville. I definitely know like I don't remember like I have to watch this show, but like every TV show when we were kids, we just watched it because it was on TV, and so I know I saw it. I remember the Dave yelling Alvin. I remember the theme song, and to get their voices high, did they have voice alteration things even back then, or was it?
I think they just sped up the tape.
That's what I understand, is that they would sing at a slower pace and then they would speed it up to the proper pace. Then it would just be a higher voice. Is that what they did back then?
I'm going to guess that's what they did.
Yeah. All right.
I can't imagine the technology being that complicated.
Because I remember having a tape recorder and being able to manipulate our voices.
Yeah.
Okay. Tape recorder kids. Does you ever remember tape recorders? Yeah. All right.
So here we are with the Real Ghostbusters from 86 to 91. The Real Ghostbusters, a supernatural comedy based on the 1984 film, continued the beloved adventures of the Ghostbusting Quartet, with Slimer as the mascot. Despite the film's cast not voicing the animated characters, the Saturday morning cartoon became a favorite among fans. Packed with specters, spirits, and ghosts, the show cleverly referenced the movie, with the Ghostbusters visiting their own film set in one episode, Walter Peck making an appearance in another, and cameos by the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. The success extended to a Kenner toy line and one season spin-off of cartoon Extreme Ghostbusters in 1997. The Real Ghostbusters remained a cherished part of pop culture, entertaining audiences with its comedic and spooky episodes.
Yeah, the Real Ghostbusters. Now, it's funny how they call it the Real Ghostbusters, because I think there was some sort of licensing or some sort of ripoff or something regarding the Ghostbuster brand. I can't remember the whole story. That's why the cartoon was called the Real Ghostbusters, because it was referencing like you said there, Jay, the characters from the film. So it had the same. Now I love how Slimer, that's so was a mascot. He was like I remember watching this. He was like a
Yeah.
bumbling character. He'd
He's the Alvin of Ghosts.
right. He was kind of like
It's
that. I
the
feel
constant.
a lot of our cartoon examples here actually have that character. We'll call it the Slimer character, but there's some of them that have that. There's that kind of side character who's just the comedic effect, like Slimer probably got caught in traps or got stuck in doorways or
it's the Jar Jar Binks.
Yes,
Ghostbusters.
That's right. He was the Jar Jar of Ghostbusters. Yeah, like
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, that's right. He was Jar Jar. Jar Jar was the Slimer of Star Wars. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So, what is your thoughts on the Ghostbusters film in general, specifically the first one?
I honestly, I didn't for myself. I didn't understand the phenomenon of it for myself. I don't think I gravitated towards understanding the popularity of it, the way that it seemed to be so within our culture. And what was the song Ghostbusters? I mean, to me that seemed more important than the movie itself.
That was
a bigger, in my eyes, a bigger phenomenon than the movie. But
that was a huge song. I think. Yeah, it's funny. Same as you. I have a hot take here. Ghostbusters is not a very good film. It's not funny. It's really not very funny. Like, it's okay. Here's the thing. I've said this before. I swear on another podcast.
See, this is my memory of it too. And that's why I say I don't ever recall understanding. That's my memory as well. I don't understand the phenomenon of it.
Well, because it's supposed to be a comedy or a scary comedy, but it's not scary at all. And it's not that funny. So it kind of misses both. It should have focused on the comedy or should have focused on the scary. It wasn't scary. Like, I was, oh, I'm so scared.
No.
It was so the ghosts themselves were like Indiana Jones and or Raiders of the Lost Ark, for example. That sequence at the end where their faces are melting is scarier than anything in the Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah.
And there's actually more humor in Raiders of the Lost Ark than there is. Like, actually, there's more laugh out loud moments in Raiders of the Lost Ark than there is in Ghostbusters. So Raiders is an example of an 80s film that has some thrilling, scary moments, like if it was the opening sequence with the spike through the guy's head that got killed. And then there was good humor in it. But with Ghostbusters, and here's another hot take. I don't think Bill Murray's very funny. I don't find his cankerous humor. I know he's beloved, but I don't think Bill Murray's ever made me truly go like Jim Carrey has, Dan Aykroyd, Steve Martin has, Chevy Chase certainly has.
See, I agree. There's something. I think it's almost like the Emperor has no clothes. Like, we're all supposed to think Bill Murray is funny, and no one admits that it's not really that funny. He's not that enduring in any real way.
I will say I don't.
He's
people don't
more
like
belligerent.
Chevy Chase.
Yes.
But I think he's way funnier. I think Chevy Chase, despite his off-screen personality, I know he hasn't gone along with people, and he's a bit of an a-hole. But boy, he sure is funny. I'm sorry, And then same with Bill. I don't know what it is about him where he's so sought after. Anyways, yeah.
So maybe it was the combination of those people. Everybody's just like, oh, we got all these comedians, and then we just assume that it's funny. And then, oh, there's ghosts. So it's going to have this like scary effect,
I guess.
And it didn't go either way. Yeah, I agree. I didn't really think much of it. Actually, the cartoon was better than the movies.
I think the cartoon was better than the movie. I do agree with Louise when he said Groundhog Day is a pretty funny film. Yeah, it is. And I would offer that it was funny. It's probably Bill's best film. I'm not saying he's a complete jerk off. I'm just saying, pound for pound, film for film, I don't know how much he makes me laugh. His cankerous kind of like blasé, oh gee, I'm famous and funny type personality on screen it's not that endearing. It's like, all right, I'm hard to get. Do you know he's hard to? he's hard to get into your film. Like he makes himself difficult to find.
Yeah.
That's part of his shtick. He doesn't have an agent. You have to call him somehow, and he might return your call. Anyways, okay. What a hero. All right. Okay,
but let's say Groundhog Day. I just would go back. Groundhog Day would probably be funny with or without Bill Murray.
Well, I don't think put Jim Carrey in that role, right? It'd probably be funnier.
Yeah, probably.
But I agree that it's good writing. It's a good story, and Bill was lucky to be a part of it. But you're right; it's a smart writing, a great supporting cast that you could almost put.
But what he would say is
Jeff Goldblum could have been a great one for that film. There's a lot of people you could have cast for that film. Yeah,
he would say, "You're lucky to have me in that film."
Yes,
that's how he would respond.
Sure. All right. Well, speaking of Bill Murray, kind of ties into the next one. We'll explain in a bit here, but Garfield and Friends, Jason, from 1988 to 1994. Garfield and Friends was based on Jim Davis's comic strip from 78. It became an instant Saturday morning hit when it premiered on CBS on September 17th, 1988. It was voiced by Lorenzo Music. Garfield, the cynical orange tabby cat, delighted audiences with his mocking of owner John Arbuckle and his attempts to avoid Odie, the energetic terrier / dachshund mix. The show not only featured Garfield's lasagna-loving escapades, but also segments from the U.S. Acres, that's the where John lived, another comic strip by Davis. Despite its popularity, Garfield and Friends faced cancellation in 94 as CBS implemented cost-cutting measures, trailing behind NBC and ABC in the ratings. In 2004, a successful live-action film was released with Bill Murray voicing Garfield, followed by a sequel in 2006. Now, apparently, fans can look forward to a CGI movie set for release in 2024 with Chris Pratt lending his voice to the beloved feline. So interesting is Chris Pratt, the voice guy now. He did Mario in the Super Mario film, and now he's doing Garfield. Throughout the years, Garfield's enduring charm and humor left an indelible mark on pulp culture, ensuring the lasagna-loving cat's legacy lives on. All right. Okay. I don't want to give away my take so far, but your fandom or of the comic strip Garfield and or the cartoon or live action?
Okay, so when I was very young, before it was a TV show, it was obviously a comic strip. Like before it was a cartoon, it was a comic strip. So I knew Garfield more as a comic strip than a cartoon in '88. Because in '88, I was quite a bit older. Right? I'm a teenager right now.
You would have been 15 at
grade 8 or something, grade 9, something like that. So my desire to participate in anything with Garfield would have been zero. So younger, I was kind of like, I actually had like probably grade 1 or 2, I had a Garfield lunchbox. And it was more because, and thought it was cool because it was more to do with the popularity of Garfield. And I thought maybe, I got a Garfield lunch kit, so I'm kind of a cool kid. More than I really have an actual affinity for Garfield. Right. And it's kind of a tiresome storyline. Like he
hates Mondays.
He likes lasagna. Doesn't like Odie.
His owner annoys him.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, now this so shallow of a character. So
it's interesting that Bill Murray voiced Garfield because very similar type personalities of everyone loved me because I'm a cat and I'm so entitled, and everyone think I'm funny because I'm Bill Murray. It's a very interesting that Bill Murray voiced Garfield. I'm just going to say that. I don't want to hint at my pick just yet. There's some more here that might beat this one, but the cartoon never made me laugh. I never thought Garfield was like hilarious. Anytime something bad happened to him, it was on a Monday, and he would always hide in his little cat bed, put the blanket over his head with the caption "I hate Mondays." Like, I don't get why that's funny. And the hating Monday is so cliche. Yeah, it's the first day of the work week. I get it. Yeah, the weekend's over, but just get through it. You'll be fine. In fact, at the time of this recording, it's Monday for me, and I went to work today after the weekend, and I survived. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Then after that's hump day, and then it's Thursday, Toro's Friday, and then it's like the cycle.
I know. Yeah, and they just like, what? We just do this. I hate Mondays for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You got the next one. Now we're getting to oh boy, here we go. Here we go. It's yours, Jay.
Oh, here we are. In the early 80s, By the Power of Grayskull. So this came out in 83. So this is prime, right? This is our prime era. The Power of Grayskull, I Have the Power, echoed in homes everywhere as He-Man and the Masters of the Universe captured the imagination of kids. This Saturday morning cartoon, based on the Mattel toy line, offered a thrilling mix of swords, sorcery, and iconic characters like Battle Cat and the infamous Skeletor. Set on the planet Eternia, the show's diverse array of characters, including Man-at-Arms and Orko, is it Orko?
Yeah, Orko, yeah.
Became highly sought after toys, causing a holiday frenzy. The series concluded in 85. Quite as short-lived.
Yeah, I don't know why I was surprised by that too. It seems like it was a longer run, but it was a hot sensation when it was out though.
Yeah. So the series concluded in 85, but its popularity birthed a spin-off, She-Ra and the Princess of Power, quickly embraced by fans. He-Man's legacy endured through various revivals, a live-action movie, and comics, solidifying its position as a timeless pop culture phenomenon. The success of the recent Netflix series Masters of the Universe Revelation has led to an upcoming follow-up, Masters of the Universe Revolution, featuring the talented Meg Foster among the star-studded cast. The adventure of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe continue to captivate new generations, proving the power of Grayskull will never fade.
Okay, there's a couple things here. I vividly remember the premiere of the show. How I got onto the hype train as a kid when there was no internet, right? It must have just been commercials that were shown between other cartoons we were watching at the time, because I specifically remember rushing home from school, Jason, to catch, because we didn't have certainly had to have a DVR. We didn't have a VCR at this age at all. Like if it was on TV, you had to watch it was on TV. There was no streaming. No, if you didn't have a VCR, you were beholden.
Yeah, if you miss it, you miss it.
You missed it exactly. So I remember rushing home to watch this. And anyway, so I freaking loved this cartoon. Saw every episode. At the end of the day, this would never be my worst pick ever. The childhood memory of this show is too strong for me. But it's such a funny concept. I love it. It's Prince Adam. And he was like, Prince Adam himself was like a hulking figure. The only thing that changed was he would get the power of Grayskull. It became even like super strength guy. You know, his clothes would rip off. He was just wearing the linen cloth underwear. And I love how his Battle Cat, remember Battle Cat's name before he became Battle Cat? Cringer. His name was Cringer.
Oh.
Because he was a pathetic feline who used to cringe and get scared at the sound of his own voice. So yeah, he was. Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared, Prince Adam. I'm scared. And so it wasn't until He-Man would go, oh, by the power of Grayskull. So he'd call it the power of Grayskull was the castle that the queen lived in, the sorceress.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of the show, if I remember correctly, was Skeletor, who had his own castle and has his own digs, wanted to occupy and take over Grayskull, where the wizard lived. The sexy, by the way, very sexy female sorceress lived in this Grayskull. Prince Adam was able to draw the power from that magical power, become He-Man. I love He-Man. I wonder what gender he identified as. He and man. He's like double identified as a male. I am He-Man. Anyway,
hey, He-Man, what are your pronouns? He-Man?
Hey, He-Man, what do you identify as? He-Man. So he drew on this power, and then he would point his sword at his cat, and he'd point and force his cat Cringer to become Battle Cat, and all of a sudden he could ride the cat, and anyways. It was amazing. And what I love especially about the toy line, if you'll notice the toy lines, whether you had Man-at-Arms, Beastmaster, or whether it got Beast, I think it was called, and then they were all the same body shape. They just
just different colors and
the same mold for all the bodies. Anyways, love it. Skeletor was amazing. Great cartoon.
Do you remember when we would be grounded, air quotes, grounded from TV or our TV would be limited. You can't watch TV after school, and they would pull the cable out of the back of the TV.
Yes, that's right. Mom and
So
Dad would pull
I remember.
I remember pulling the cable.
Specifically, putting the cable, screwing the cable back into the back of the TV to watch He-Man.
Yeah, that's.
I
wow, what a
remember
memory.
specifically
I forgot about that.
screw so that well, at least I could watch He-Man.
That's
So
hilarious.
yeah,
Well, I must have been with you. I must have been with you.
oh for sure, yeah.
And our mom listens to this podcast. So, Mom, forgive us, but we plugged in the cable
To watch He-Man.
To watch He-Man. Other. That's funny. I remember the cable being unplugged, so we couldn't watch TV. he just screwed it back in. They'll never figure this out.
Pull the plug. Oh, gee, how do we put the plug back in?
Oh, it's funny. Oh man, that was pre-internet, so they had to pull the cable. That's funny. Okay. All right, well, the next one, The Care Bears Family from 86 to 88, another short-lived series, but very popular. The Care Bears Family, a beloved Saturday morning cartoon, captured the hearts of kids everywhere. Originally produced by DIC Enterprises in 85, it was the successor by Nelvana that truly made it a show hit. The adorable Care Bears, including Cheer Bear, Birthday Bear, and Tenderheart Bear, enchanted audiences with their unique ability to shoot glittery beams of hearts and stars from their insignias on their stomachs. Hailing from the enchanting realm of Carolot in the clouds, they spread cheer and love wherever they went, embarking on caring missions to thwart the evil Professor Coldheart. Beyond the TV series, the Care Bears became a cultural phenomenon with feature films, which I'll speak to in a bit, video games, books, comics, records, toys, creating a whole caring industry that endures to this day. With its valuable lessons of love and acceptance, the Care Bears family remains one of the most treasured and enduring cartoons of all time. You remember their war cry? Do you remember the war cry of the Care Bears?
Oh, no.
Care Bear, stare!
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's so bad.
Because they would do what they would line up and they would say, Care Bear, stare, and they puff out their chests.
Yeah,
on their chest.
Yeah,
and
different. I remember that stuff coming out.
And the heart. And they would like
shower
their love powers over the universe and to dispel the darkness in the world with their cheer.
With their caring stare.
With their caring stare. Here's an interesting thing. In 1987 or 88, so I would have been about 12, and our younger brother was 2 years younger than me, so he'd have been about 9 or 10. I took Ruben to the Care Bear movie, and I'll never forget going. I remember begrudgingly going, so I was old enough to be like, ugh, come on, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
But Ruben wanted to go because he was younger. And he liked the Care Bears, and I was the older brother that had to take him. And I remember thinking, so I remember going. I remember vividly going to the theater. It's real weird now. I was by myself with Ruben, no parents. We got dropped off.
How old do you think you were?
Well, it was between the cartoon. I'd have to look up when the movie came out.
Okay.
I could take a real quick. The Care Bear film. It might have been part 2, to be honest with you. So just give me a second here. The Care Bears movie.
It's not live action though, is it?
Cartoon. No, it was on. So the first one was 85, but I think there was. I think it might have been the sequel Yes, it was the sequel. So it was in 86. So I was at the time. I turned 11 in 86. So I was 10 years old. So Ruben would have been 8. So I remember it was the sequel. Why I remember that I don't remember. But it's Care Bears 2: A New Generation. Came out March of 86, so it would have been around that time I took Ruben. We would have been dropped off at the theater downtown Victoria, and we got popcorn and everything. It's a vivid memory, because it might have been the first time I got to go to a movie by myself, maybe, but I just remember I was there for Ruben, but I also remember begrudgingly kind of enjoying the film when it was done. Like, yeah, it's all right. Anyway, so it was Care Bears 2. I saw it in the theaters. Yeah. Stupid memory. All right. So
did you have a favorite Care Bear?
Probably the guy with the heart, Cheer Bear. I don't know. Care Bear stare. Oh man. Okay. you've got
Still
the
not my
next one.
worst pick though.
No, it's not mine either. It's a fond memory, right? So
Yeah.
you've got the next one. I know this. You said to me earlier, this is one you don't remember watching, but go ahead and
Yeah, I have
speak
a
to it.
vague, very, very vague memory of this. One that doesn't really jump out at me per se, but anyway, Thundercats from 85 to 89. At the height of G.I. Joe and Transformers popularity, Thundercats emerged as a captivating Saturday morning cartoon on September 9th, 85. This instant classic followed humanoid cat aliens, the Thundercats, as they fled their dying planet, Thundera, and sought refuge on Third Earth. Their journey took a dramatic turn when they became the target of evil mutants on Plundar. Oh, that's good. I like that.
Plundar, yeah.
Plundar, who coveted the power eye of Thundera embedded in Lion-O's sword of omens. Despite the simple premise, I was like, that's not simple. This is a very despite the simple premise of good versus evil, the show's animated brilliance and beloved characters like Cheetara and the menacing Mumra enthralled children nationwide. Through Saturday morning cartoons are now a thing. Though Saturday morning cartoons are a thing of the past, Thundercats remains a timeless adventure that sparks imaginations, ensuring its place among the greatest classics in animation history.
It is a very.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's actually all legit. It's a really well done cartoon, and it's kind of ahead of its time at the time. Now, so it came out when I was 10. You would have been 12, and it ran to when I was 14. You were 16. So we were kind of nearing the end of our. Because I think when you and I were hitting, like, it was pretty common for kids in those days. Once you hit 12ish, you kind of stopped. Saturday morning cartoons weren't always a thing. So this kind of came out around that. I did watch it though. I did watch it. I enjoyed it a lot. I had a little mini crush, an animal crush on Cheetara. You go back and look at her. She was hot. She was a hot cheetah girl. And I just loved the opening sequence alone. Thunder, Thundercats, and then Lionel goes Thundercats. Ah! He would do this cry, this war cry. Thundercats. Ah! It's like a Tarzan yell, and then thunder. Great music, great intro. Another funny character is the character of Snarf. And I to this day I make fun of the character Snarf because he would say stuff like his name was Snarf, but then he would say Snarf, right? So he would go like, and he was like he was the Slimer character. I think we forgot to mention that. So he was the Slimer character of the show, meaning he was a side character. He was the comedic effect. He was kind of a companion. Like Orko to He-Man, forgot to mention this. So Orko was the Slimer character of He-Man.
Yeah,
Orko was the bumbling character, kind of in the way. Yeah. Then there's Slimer for Ghostbusters. Well, then for Thundercats, theirs was Snarf, and he would talk like this. So bear with me with my imitate or my impersonation. Snarf. That's how he spoke. And so when he got scared, like if Lionel talked to him, like Snarf, what have you done? Oh, I'm sorry, Snarf. So that's how he spoke. And his name was Snarf. He would say Snarf, anyways, and he was a Snarf.
What's the character in that? Speaking of Chris Pratt from earlier, what was Groink, or what was the
Orko?
name of? No, Groot.
Oh, Groot. That was Vin Diesel that did Groot. Yeah.
But isn't that all he would? I've never really seen the Galaxy.
Yeah, I've seen
the Galaxy Guardians.
He voiced the character of Groot. And he may have done the body animation as well. I don't know. That's possible. So I don't know. I doubt it because he played a tree. But that was the big deal. Is he would say Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. And then spoiler. If anyone hasn't seen it, so he would only say I am Groot, but in the third and final Guardians of the Galaxy, he said something else. He said something other than I am Groot. So it was a big moment. Yeah. All right.
Aww. Okay.
Yeah, so Thundercats is great. If you haven't seen that intro, at the very least, go on YouTube, folks. Watch the intro to Thundercats. It is one of the greatest cartoon intros of all time. And I'm not just saying that. All right. The next one. I know you watched this one. This ran from 83 to 86. Another great song. Inspector Gadget. From 83 to 86, kids eagerly woke up on Saturday mornings to witness the hilarious adventures of Inspector Gadget. He was a bumbling sci-fi superhero with a vast array of gadgets hidden within his body. And it was voiced by the talented Don Adams. Gadget's comedic attempts to get rid of sticky situations were a favorite among young audiences. But unbeknownst to Gadget, it was his clever niece, Penny, and their loyal dog, Brain, who secretly aided him on numerous missions, ensuring his triumphs without taking any credit. Remember that? Penny in her computer book? Do you remember her computer book? She'd open up this book, and it was like a computer book, an early iPad back in the day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so her and Brain was solved. So Inspector Gadget did nothing. He basically hindered his own progress, and Penny
He was Slimer.
He was his own Slimer.
Slimer.
So this allowed Gadget to believe he was the world's greatest inspector, adding to the charm of the show. The true allure of the cartoon, however, lay in its villain, Dr. Claw. As the sinister mastermind behind the malevolent, so this is the name of it, it was Malevolent Agency of Destruction. Dr. Claw's identity remained shrouded in mystery. Week after week, children tuned in, hoping to catch a glimpse of his face, but all they saw was the ominous arm with a menacing clawed hand petting his cat. Despite the continuous anticipation, the series concluded without ever revealing Dr. Claw's true appearance. It wasn't until 6 years later, with the release of an action figure, that the world finally beheld the villain's hideous face. The long-awaited reveal, though exciting, left many of the sense of disappointment that a classic case of Go-Go Gadget letdown. So you can actually Google Dr. Claw's face. So I've done it. It's kind of weird. It is kind of weird. It's like you never saw his face, but now you can because of the toy. Speaking of impersonations, I did my Schnarf. I can do Dr. Claw as well. You ready? All right. Do you remember how it was? Okay, so let me get this. I might have to edit accordingly if I don't get it the first time. So now, those who know Dr. Claw, tell me what you think.
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time.
There you go. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you. So there you go. That's Dr. Claw. Okay. All right, Jason, you've got.
But did you enjoy the movie?
Oh yeah, the movie had Matthew Broderick, didn't it? And then it had a sequel as well with a different actor.
Am I thinking Steve Carell? Did he do?
He did a movie, but he didn't do Inspector Gadget. He did Smart or Get Smart.
Oh,
Get Smart was the TV series that was voiced by the same guy that voiced or acted by the same guy who did the voice work of Inspector Gadget. So that's how you get that mixed up there.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay. So I don't think I ever saw the movie then, Inspector Gadget. I did say, yeah, you're right. Get Smart.
Yeah. What's the actor's name again? Don Adams. So Don Adams played the. That's probably how they kind of patterned. It was like a '60s show. You remember he talked with the shoe for a phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just all right. All right.
The
last two are the big ones here.
So I'll hit up Transformers from 84 to 87. Really, only 3 years, eh?
Well, probably 4 years. So 84, 85, 86, 80. But yeah, probably 4 seasons.
Oh, yeah. Based on the Hasbro toy line, Transformers debuted on September. Okay, so that's probably why it feels like it should have been longer, because the toys came out probably a year or so before the cartoon.
Right.
So Transformers debuted on September 17th, 1984, revolutionizing children's entertainment. Marvel contributed to the series, featuring rival factions of robots engaged in epic battles on Earth. Captivating 80s kids, the Autobots clash with Decepticons for control, with human characters adding depth to the narrative. The show's appeal lay in its rich background story and abundance of transforming characters, from vehicles to cassette tapes, fueling Hasbro's success. The animated film Transformers, the movie, hit theaters in '86, further cementing the franchise's popularity. Today, Transformers continue to thrive in various forms, including the film Transformers Rise of the Beasts and animated Netflix shows like Transformers BotBots and Transformers Earth Spark.
Right. Now, Transformers was huge. You and I watched it. The whole family watched it. It was obviously a huge part of our childhood. Amazing cartoon. Did you see the movie in the theaters?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that movie. I'm telling you right now, folks, this is not even a hot take. That Transformers animated film in the theater, where they introduced a new toy line of Rodimus Prime because Optimus got killed by Megatron. Spoiler alert. that movie, man, shook me. Legit shook me because you and I would watch all these Saturday morning cartoons of Transformers. No one ever dies. We go to the movie theater. There's no warning, no segue. All of a sudden, every single Autobot gets killed by Megatron. Remember? Like it's like the opening 10 minutes of the movie. Megatron's like he just decides that's it. I've had enough of these Autobots. And Megatron literally kills every Autobot. You remember that? Like it was like on a plane or spaceship. He just shoots everybody. And then there was that big battle between Optimus Prime and Megatron. And oh man, it's just, and then the soundtrack alone is amazing. The music is amazing in that movie. Like by the great Vince DiCola, who did the Rocky IV soundtrack music. It's just an incredible film, incredible animation, and it puts to shame the live action Transformer films. I'm sorry to say, those are just garbage compared to the animated film that came out. And what was also cool about that film is, remember Spike, the boy? He swore. Remember he swore. Yeah, we remember seeing that as kids. We're like, whoa! So we were just blown away that we were watching this kind of G-rated Saturday morning cartoon. Now it's almost PG-13 experience on the big screen as animated. It blew my socks off. I loved it. Great memories with that film and that TV series. And also,
and with the toys, obviously with the toys,
we had Transformers. Did you own? I can't remember.
It's funny. I have them. Some of the cutout, like the box cutouts somewhere.
You do? Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I remember we had the crane. We did have the cassette tape or the camera.
No, we didn't have that. That was what was his name again? Soundwave. Soundwave was so cool, man. He had the cassette tapes that came out of his body. I don't think, did we ever own him? That was a pimp. Like those were expensive. Those were expensive toys. So when we got those, we didn't get very many because, quite frankly, they were expensive in the day. Those were not cheap toys.
They're still probably. Could you imagine what they're worth today if we had kept them in a box somewhere, never opened them?
I had the Professor, so I had the one that turned into a microscope. So it was a microscope transformer, and it worked. It was a working microscope. I loved that toy so much. Yeah. Anyways,
and we did have. I know. We had a jet one. It could have been
Starscream.
Starscream.
Yeah, he was great.
Because it was gray and kind of blue, or bluish gray, purpley, or yeah.
Okay.
At any rate, yeah.
Well, I'm on Twitter.
A huge part of our childhood.
Agreed.
That was a big deal.
Not to go off topic too much, Jay. I apologize for this, but I am on Twitter just looking at it real quickly here, and it's an X now. It is an X now.
Okay.
That's weird. When did this happen? I'm so confused.
I was hearing about it over the last couple of days that there was rumors.
Why?
See if on my app.
This is so odd. It just has the letter X. Odd. So is it not called Twitter anymore? It's just called. Am I supposed to refer to this as X now?
I mean, I'm looking at my phone and it's still got the blue bird.
Yeah, mine has the X on the PC. Okay. All right. Last one. We did save the best for last. Let's be honest here, folks. G.I. Joe, Real American Hero from 83 to 86. Was a beloved 80s Saturday morning cartoon, premiered on September 12th of 83, based on, again, Hasbro's toy line. The show aired 95 episodes from 83 to 86. The action-packed series featured G.I. Joe battling the villainous Cobra, adhering to children's programming standards at the time. Laser guns emitted red for heroes and blue for villains, and that replaced actual firearms. Though no on-screen deaths occurred, references to deceased characters were permitted, adding depth to the story. The clever formula proved successful, boosting toy sales significantly. Despite its initial cancellation, G.I. Joe remained a fan favorite, leading to a second series from 89 to 91. Efforts to bring G.I. Joe to live-action films were lackluster, yielding 3 disappointing movies. Nonetheless, the animated's classic legacy endures, cherished by those who grew up with its thrilling battles and iconic characters. Now, do you remember the G.I. Joe? It wasn't a movie, but it was the show event or the event, the end of the series. It was like when Cobra changed from its Cobra yell to Cobra la 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 la. Remember that yell? And how psyched we were? Because it used to just be Cobra. Another great intro. And then they
Cobra or Cobra Attack, right? Cobra.
Yeah. And then they changed it to the Cobra La 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 La, and I
Oh.
love that freaking chant. I'm gonna get these sound bites on when I edit this because that Cobra La
So
La
that
La.
wasn't a movie on TV or in the theaters.
No, it was a 5-part miniseries on TV. It was like an event because the first episode, Duke got shot. I remember that he didn't die, but he got shot.
It was a hardcore ending to their, similar to the Transformers the movie.
Right. It was kind
They
of
were about as
hardcore
hardcore as they could be.
As you know, G.I. Joe was a toy figure that was out way ago, like in the 50s or 60s, right?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
our oldest brother, he had that big doll. I remember growing like a big doll of G.I. Joe.
Well, there was a G.I. Joe the
Figure.
movie. It was a direct-to-video. It was produced as a sequel. Maybe that's what we saw then. It was just broken down into 5 parts for the week or whatever. Because that, yeah, definitely
I'm
had.
pretty sure I went to the movies and saw it.
Oh, it says here it was direct-to-video in '87. Anyways,
Oh.
memory's a funny thing, but I remember Duke got shot, and I remember the Cobra got changed from Cobra to Cobra La La La. I just freaking love that. Okay, all right. Well, what are your thoughts in general, Jay, about G.I. Joe, other than what we just said? But
Oh, I love G.I. Joe. We had G.I. Joe figurines. We played G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
You know, taking our character, our toys to the beach, or you know, even in our backyard or in our yard or whatever, and set up war scenarios. I mean, when we played live action war as kids, we'd be G.I. Joe characters. I mean, G.I. Joe was it.
Yeah.
It surpassed Transformers. It surpassed all these other cartoons. G.I. Joe was the cartoon to emulate as young boys.
Yeah, I had the I remember I had the helicopter toy. That was my prized possession, the helicopter G.I. Joe helicopter. Oh, freaking love that toy. I'll never forget. I think it was Ruben broke the pilot. It was at church. He twisted because if you twist it enough, it snaps the middle. He twisted
the little elastic bands.
Yeah, he twisted it so much it snapped the rubber band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Still hurts. Still hurts. Broke my character. But then I still kept him, and I made him my double leg amputee pilot in the helicopter. All right. Well, there you go. That is the list. So really quickly, we'll go over the list again.
Can we talk? Okay, go ahead. I just want to say that there's a few in here that should have been mentioned that are not.
What are some honorable mentions? Again, we just
Smurfs.
heard this from. What was the year that came out though? Was that? Yeah, that is a good call.
Super Friends, Scooby Doo.
Well, the Smurfs ran from ran from 81 to 89. Good honorable mention. Yeah, okay. Scooby Doo was definitely during that. Yeah, Scooby Doo should have been there.
And what about Super Friends? Dude, Super
so-
Friends. I remember waking up. I probably even before 7 a.m. and this was definitely a Saturday morning cartoon.
Okay, so Scooby Doo, it's probably older than you remember. So the Scooby Doo that we watched was from 69 to 76. That's what we watched. That was the one we saw the most of. There was a ABC years that called the Scooby Doo Show and Scooby Doo's, but the one that we watched was the. That's why I didn't make the list. Just so.
Because this is 80s.
Yeah, it was 69 to 76. Yeah, and we watched the reruns in the 80s. That's the classic one. There's been so many iterations afterwards, yes, but the one that we all saw, glasses, I can't see without my glasses. That was from the 69 to 76 series. Smurfs, yeah, that could be a good honorable mention. And Super Friends, I think Super Friends 2J was early.
Maybe too early. Wow.
Yeah. Super Friends ran from 73 to 74. So
that's it.
Yeah, and they did have one in the 80s for a few seasons, but again, it was from 80, 83. Okay, there was a version of that one. Oh no, but we didn't watch this one. See, I'm looking at the artwork. I don't think I think we watched the older one, the older cartoon looking one. Yeah, because I'm looking at art. That was with the Wonder Twins. Wonder Twin powers activate.
Yeah, activate.
Form a bucket of water.
They were. Yeah, I know. Steam.
Form Hawk. Because one was a form of elemental water, and the other one was an animal.
And that was animal.
And they would just carry the Hawk would carry the bucket of water.
Yeah.
So stupid. They had to like connect their knuckles to activate.
Yeah.
and they're always somehow separated, and they had to like just stretch through the cage or whatever. But anyways, that was what you're referring to. Again, that was a 70s show.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wonder Twins. Wonder Twin powers activated. When you go look at the quality of the cartoon, you will know that it was 70s. Okay, but good honorable mentions, good memories. Here is the list. The Bugs Bunny show, which yes, it did run over 40 years, but in the 80s for sure. Alvin the Chipmunks, The Real Ghostbusters, Garfield and Friends, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, The Care Bears Family, Thundercats, Inspector Gadget, Transformers, and G.I. Joe. Go ahead, Jay. What's your worst pick?
I wish this would be harder. I wish this would be harder to decide and to choose. Like I wanted, like if you had to choose between Transformers and G.I. Joe, you'd feel torn, right? Having to pick one over the other.
Right.
But Garfield.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not engaging. And there's only so much you can do with a cat who doesn't like the dog. A cat who doesn't like his dog, doesn't like his owner, doesn't like Mondays, but loves lasagna and always wants to sleep. Hilarity ensues season after season.
Show after show.
Like,
you know how hard it would be to be the writers for that cartoon?
I know. And John would have a new girlfriend that he would bring home, and then Garfield would act jealous and try to sabotage the date. All right. Well, this was a blast. This was an easy one. This was fun. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And remember, in front of every silver lining, there is a cloud. And today, it was a pretty easy choice. Not much to say. Garfield and Friends. All right. And people in our chat are saying Care Bears. That's tough. That's tough. I get it.
I could see why Care Bears, but I still think the storyline would be more enjoyable to watch. Like the story.
There's more adventures. You just had more adventures with the Care Bears. Yeah. More choices.
Yeah, they're just be a broader.
Louis says that Garfield's better than the Chipmunks. Oof. Wow. Okay.
Well, actually,
that's tough. That was my second pick, by the way. So
she's not. Is it Louise? Is the guy?
Yeah, he is a guy. Yeah.
So not that far off from Garfield for sure.
Yeah.
Alvin and Chipmunks gets old.
The squeaky voice is annoying. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again. Join us on our next live broadcast.